Is this a great name, if not the best for Kentucky? It would be Monmouth's Abdi Basher Jr. The guy is a big guy like Pope. Should he urgently come to the Cats? I believe so. Let's talk about it. But first, subscribe to the channel if you want Basher on the team. The Kentucky Wildcats season may not have reached the much-dreamed-of Final Four this year, but the recruiting and rebuilding machine is already in full swing under Mark Pope. The coach, who inherited a roster in transition after the departure of John Calipari, has been working tirelessly to rebuild a competitive team that can shine again in college basketball. And among the pieces that are starting to appear on the program's radar, few are as intriguing and promising as Abdi Basher Jr., the Monmouth point guard who recently entered Kentucky's field division. As a tall player, Basher is exactly the kind of versatile player that makes analysts' eyes light up. It's not just his physical stature, which gives him considerable advantages on defense and playmaking, but also his refined offensive arsenal, with a special emphasis on long-range shooting. Last season, playing for Monmouth, he proved to be a constant threat from the perimeter, averaging an impressive 20.1 points per game and shooting 38.3% from three-point range, numbers that are eye-catching at any level of basketball. For a team like Kentucky, which is always looking to maximize its opportunities in transition and spacing offense, having a player like Basher could be a game-changer. Furthermore, Basher's ability to produce at a high volume without compromising efficiency is something that aligns perfectly with the modern NCAA philosophy, where shooting depth and versatility are increasingly valued. He attempted an impressive 10.1 three-pointers per game in his sophomore season, proving that he's not afraid to take on offensive responsibility. That aggressive mindset, combined with his accuracy, makes him a lethal weapon capable of challenging any opposing defense. And that's without even mentioning his secondary contributions. 2.6 rebounds and 2.2 assists per game show that he's not just a scoring specialist, but someone who can impact the game in multiple ways. Basher's arrival at Kentucky could be even more significant when compared to the other pieces Pope is putting together for next season. With overtime elites Jasper Johnson already confirmed as one of the standouts on the roster, the idea of combining his athleticism and physicality with Basher's shooting ability creates an exciting scenario for fans. Imagine Johnson cutting through defenses like lightning, while Basher, positioned beyond the arc, waits for the right moment to receive the ball and punish defenses with his pinpoint shots. That chemistry, if harnessed, could turn Kentucky into a near-unstoppable offensive machine. It's also worth noting that Basher has 2 seasons of eligibility remaining, meaning his contribution wouldn't just be one-offs, but could span a crucial period in the program's rebuild. Ideally, he could serve as a key piece in transitioning the current roster into an even more cohesive and experienced group in the coming seasons. This is especially relevant at a time when the NCAA is increasingly dominated by transfer players who can make an immediate impact. Basher, with his profile as a player ready to compete at a high level, would be a strategic addition to that trend. Basher's potential arrival at Kentucky isn't just about numbers or stats. It's also a clear sign that Mark Pope is willing to explore every option available to return the program to the top of college basketball. By pursuing an under-the-radar but extremely talented player, Pope demonstrates astute vision and a deep understanding of what the team needs to compete among the best again. If Basher does end up wearing the blue and white uniform, fans can expect not only a player who will elevate the team's technical level, but also someone Kentucky needs right now. Let's see what the Cats' next steps will be. It's going to be intriguing. Taylor Bowen's decision to commit to the Alabama Crimson Tide after drawing interest from the Kentucky Wildcats is a blow, but a stark reminder of how unpredictable and competitive the NCAA transfer market can be. While the loss of Bowen is certainly a disappointment for BBN, it also reflects the reality that even at a program like the Cats, Not all desired pieces end up falling into place as planned. However, this is not a definitive loss, but rather a turning point that reinforces the need to remain focused on the options still on the board. Taylor Bowen combines size and skill at an increasingly valued position in modern basketball. His ability to stretch opposing defenses with three-point shots, he made 41.4% of his attempts last season, makes him an interesting prototype for a spacer wing. Additionally, his 1.5 blocks per game average demonstrates his defensive presence around the basket, something any team would love to have at their disposal. Still, the fact that he chose Alabama, even after visiting Lexington, raises questions about how Kentucky might adjust its approach to recruiting players with similar profiles. It's important to note that Kentucky's roster for next season already has some promising names that could fill some of the voids left by absences like this player. Players like Otega Owa, Brandon Garrison, and Jasper Johnson are examples of talents that have the potential to make an immediate impact. Additionally, the addition of Malachi Moreno and Cam Williams, the latter from Tulane, adds depth and versatility to the group. These additions, coupled with the young players already on the program, suggest that Mark Pope is building a solid foundation to compete again in the Sweet 16 and, who knows, advance even further in the NCAA tournament. With limited scholarship spots and a list of highly qualified targets, every move needs to be calculated to maximize return. Losing Bowen to Alabama may have been a setback, but that doesn't mean the door is closed to other equally valuable opportunities. In fact, Kentucky is still rumored to be actively monitoring other players in the transfer portal, as well as keeping in touch with some high-profile prospects on the recruiting circuit. It's also worth remembering that Kentucky's sustained success over the decades isn't based on a single player or recruit. The program has a history of constantly reinventing itself, adapting to changes in both the style of play and the competitive landscape of the NCAA. Even in transitional seasons like the one under Mark Pope's leadership, the philosophy of balancing youth and experience remains the cornerstone of the project. And while Bowen has opted for Alabama, that doesn't erase the fact that Kentucky still has powerful tools to mold a roster that could be different. Mark Pope's work to build a competitive team is far from over, and as long as there are open rosters and talent available, Kentucky will continue to be an attractive destination for top recruits. After all, Kentucky is a great place to come, as Carr mentioned the other day. What do you think? Comment.